Tell us a little bit about Ho Jiak and how it came about.
I started the restaurant with a team of 4 people. At that time, I just decided I want to start cooking, I want to start a restaurant, and I want to share Malaysian food with the people of Sydney.
Food always brings people together. It's amazing to see that, it's not just price driven.
All I need you to do is improve little bit by little bit every day. If you can just keep improving a bit by a bit, over the time will tell.
What's the secret in your eyes to dominating and gaining a hat?
All right. Best advice I can give is
Junda Khoo.
yes.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Junda, we have some mutual friends, I found, and it's funny to see that I've heard your name in passing many times, and everyone's like, you got to go to Ho Jiak. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Ho Jiak? Yeah,
correct.
Got to go to Ho Jiak. Got to go to Ho Jiak. And this has been over the years, and I'll be honest with you. I went 3 times and the line was that long. I said, man, when I get to know the guy, I'm just going to walk in there.
Pretty much.
What the fuck? It's crazy. Like, you've created an amazing following. I feel like, if you know sort of place. And the guys that know it, they love the food, but they love the community about it. And I guess, you transitioning from what I understand was something out of this industry, finance, I believe, and going into hospitality, you've been able to build this beautiful community, which now you see a line out the door every day. It's crazy. Tell us a little bit about Ho Jiak and how it came about.
Yeah, a bit emotional. Thank you for those kind words. It's beautiful. Community is the right word, I guess, to start off with. And I think in terms of, running a business or a restaurant, that has always been the person of who I am. And so everything that I do is how I built what I have.
You can
today.
tell. I'm telling you. Like, I've been to a lot of venues, and I haven't even stepped foot in your venue because I can't get in. And I'm seriously, like, it really screams community. And, food always brings people together, I guess, and especially in such a cultural cuisine like Malaysian, like yours. It's amazing to see that, it's not just price driven.
Yep.
There's quality, there's a name you've built, and then there's ownership of, yes, this is Ho Jiak. So continue.
Yeah, in a way. So I started Ho Jiak about 10 years ago, and it was in a food court in Strathfield, and it was a 12-seater restaurant. And I started the restaurant with a team of 4 people. And at that time, I just decided, you know what? I want to start cooking. I want to start a restaurant, and I want to share Malaysian food with the people of Sydney. What a lot of people didn't know, and what I didn't know was I wasn't a trained chef. So I did not go to culinary school. I did not work in any other restaurants before. I just one day decided to appoint myself head chef. And it was a pretty big and ballsy move, I guess. But the challenge there was when I opened up, I was like, what do I want to do? Like, what kind of food do I want to serve? And for the first 9 months, it was pretty much trying to find my identity. And because I was an immigrant, I came here when I was 16, and for school and everything. And
your parents just sent you out here?
my parents deported me. They didn't send me here. They deported me. I was a naughty boy back in Malaysia, so they sent me here for school.
You had a network here, family, anyone to look after you?
No, so it was just my brother and I. I was 16 and he was 14, and we went to. I did year 11, and so just those few years were probably like one of the toughest of my lives.
Did you go to a boarding school?
No, so we just went to a public school, and they rented an apartment for us, and then we just 16 years old. In a way, it wasn't too bad. Like there was no parents.
Freedom in this country is freedom.
Do you want to go to school today? Let me see how I feel.
Wow. So they just literally rented the apartment.
Yep.
Online, they probably organised it over the phone with some mutual people that they may know.
Yep. This
is where you stay. This is where you go to school.
Correct. It was about a 10-minute walk, and they gave me or us $150 a week, And so soon enough, we were to realize that, wow, it's not enough, right? And this is where my dad, he's hard, but his lessons are always so important. And I go, Dad, it's not enough. And he goes, well, then do what other people do. I was like, well, what is it? Get a job. So I started working pretty much. Had to go to school, had to work, and had to go to uni, had to go to work as well. And so in a way, it has, I guess, being hardworking was instilled from a very young age. Now back to, Stratfield we were saying, right? It was pretty much trying to find an identity, and it was research. And when I first opened, I was like, I put everything in. We weren't busy. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what Ho Jiak was. Nobody knew what it was. It was just another restaurant in a food court. But over time, I always felt that if...
How do you know Stratfield? How do you know food court? Like, what made you...
So before that, I graduated in a finance degree. I came out and worked for the banks, but food has always been my passion. Because coming to Sydney at the age of 16, I had to cook for myself. And so that's why I really fell in love with cooking. Of course, when I was younger, growing up, my grandmother cooked a lot. And of course, grandma's food is always the best.
Can't beat it.
And coming here at 16, 17, 18, like at those early years, I was always homesick, And the best way to cure homesickness is through food, to me anyway. But at that time, I was in Hurstville, and we were talking about 22 years ago. There weren't that many Malaysian restaurants. And the Malaysian restaurant in Hurstville at that time was serving beef noodle soup pho, and it was also serving Mongolian lamb and stuff like that. I go, that's not Malaysian food. So I started learning cooking, and then it became a mission of mine. Why I did Ho Jiak was because I wanted to provide that platform, because I know there are going to be a lot of people who are homesick too, but there's not that many good proper Malaysian food, and so that was one of my mission objectives back then. But anyway, back to it again. So after working for the banks for a year and a half, I just decided, you know what, screw this. I want to follow my passion, because I was still young, and I told my dad, Asian parents, like, you gotta get a good job, you gotta get a good all kind of things. I said, look, Dad, let me try this. I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna follow my passion, and if I fail, I'm still young. What's the harm?
Well, there's nothing to lose.
There's nothing to lose. So at 23 or 24, I left the banks. I walked into the cafe, and I asked them to teach me how to make a coffee, and that's how I entered the industry. At around 24, 25, I opened a cafe first. It was called Paparoti, right? And I guess with...
the cafe was called Paparoti?
The cafe was called Paparoti.
Okay.
And with
not to confuse it with the chain.
It was the chain. I brought it over from Malaysia.
Oh, wow. So you brought Paparoti here?
Paparoti here, yep. And within 2 years, I had 18 cafes in the whole of Australia. So I guess that's where I worked. Like, I was in my prime. I was working really hard. I was chasing. And then 2 years later, that's when I was 28, that's when I decided that I really wanted to do Malaysian food. And that's when I started Ho Jiak, so 10 years ago.
So let's just take a quick second, just because my mind's blown right now. You went back to Malaysia.
Yep.
You sourced a brand that was there.
Yep.
You took the license for it for Australia.
Correct.
What made you pick Paparoti?
I liked it. So at that time, it was a phase of these Mexican buns that was really good. And of course, there was roti boy, there was all that kind of things. But Paparoti at that time was up and coming, so the fees to bring it in wasn't too high, and I could actually afford to do that. And I opened the first Paparoti cafe in Kogarah.
Okay, so you took on the cafe. They gave you all the recipe cards. They gave you the operational, the SOPs, or did you have to do anything yourself?
The coffees, the ice cream. So basically, by getting the Paparoti, it was just the bun.
Okay.
And the bun alone in Australia, you're not going to survive. It's only like, at that time, it was $1.80 per bun.
Yeah.
There's no volume, there's no population here. So that's when I turned into a whole cafe where there was, there was coffees, there was shakes, there was a whole ice cream, gelato bar.
You create a beverage around it, like a dessert bar.
Like a dessert cafe, yep. And then we were making waffles and pancakes and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then after you did that, you personally expanded to those 18 sites, or did you sell them off?
So I personally had 6, all of them in Sydney, and then I had licensees in the other states.
Why licensee versus franchise?
Lower cost. Pretty much lower cost.
And were you invested with those licensees or no?
No.
Okay, great. So you had the licensees in other states. They ran that. And what's Paparotti's doing now? Did you sell it? Or?
Yeah, I did. So I pretty much decided when I wanted to open Ho Jiak to get rid of all of that and handed my contract was coming up anyway. So I only had the contract for about 4 or 5 years or something like that. And it was coming up. And because there were so many already and they wanted to renew, the next price tag was pretty high. It was a big jump.
They know what they're doing.
Of course. And so that's also why I decided I want to start cooking right now, because I think the one thing that I found after that, in between, I actually brought this Malaysian chain from Melbourne down. And so it was called Petaling Street. So they had many branches, 6-7 branches in Melbourne. And I opened the one. That was where we were part of. We opened in George Street, Kingsford, and they had like 4 branches here. So I was running that as well, like in a way.
Petaling, what cuisine was that?
It was Malaysian food. Malaysian food.
Is it those bowls?
Hawker food, pretty much,
hawker food. Okay.
Malaysian hawker food.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the things that I realized with, I guess, Paparotti and then Petaling Street as well. It was that I had so many ideas and I had so many ways to I think would make the business better. But I guess that's the problem with a licensee or a parent company.
Or a franchise, whatever they
franchise.
Yeah.
I didn't have the freedom and they wouldn't let me do what I wanted to with, on the creative side of things or the consistency and quality control.
Yeah, I find it's a struggle, right? Especially because when I consult brands across the globe, especially when they're targeting Australia, my biggest thing is before it comes in the country, they need to learn that they need to be able to localize. Like Starbucks failed.
Yep.
And they're a $1 billion company. And they failed for 2 reasons. Or one major reason. They didn't localize.
Yep.
Who doesn't put a flat white and a long black on a menu?
Yep.
Right?
Right. But then it's also, I guess the way you see it, right, it's also that's why they do it, because that same model is so successful in so many...
It is.
Many other countries.
It is, but even when you go to other countries, like Australia is this is for everyone listening. Australia is a very educated palate.
Yeah, definitely.
Compared to the world. And we have such a small population and we're spoilt for choice and we're snobs. On the weekend, my wife and I we want to go for coffee. Nah, I don't want to go there. I want specialty coffee. Yeah, but it's just a latte. Nah. I feel like, I'm happy to pay $6.50 for a latte today because I want specialty coffee.
Yep.
Where somewhere else in the world, you just grab a coffee,
Yeah.
But in Sydney, we're like, no, I want to go there. No, this is what I want. And that's the thing that allows, I guess, Australia to keep playing at that level. Like we're playing in the big leagues without the population. And I always think, like I just came back from New York and... if you went and opened up in New York, you would dominate because it's not about the brand, it's not about the concept, no. It's about the way that Australians conduct business.
Yep.
And what we have to go through in hospitality here. I actually think it's one of the toughest industries. That's why I love it, and it gets me up every morning as a challenge.
Yep. Because
surviving in this market and actually giving and paying people professional income levels. Like everyone's getting paid as a professional. There's no low income earners here. They're getting paid, which they deserve to, by the way. But we can play in this level, right? Where you go to the States, for example, an executive chef of a omakase bar might earn $30,000 US a year.
Yeah.
But he's living off tips. Mm-hmm. Where here we're like, head chef, $120K plus super plus tax. He's walking out with $150K.
Yep.
Right? And that's your level of operation to play on. But I digress. But I just like to set the tone of the importance that people need to understand that the challenges that Australian business owners face, especially in hospitality, it's a daunting road.
Oh, it's not easy. It's one of the hardest. It's very, very hard.
But so after that Malaysian brand and after the Paparottis, which was another Malaysian brand, you sort of figured out, okay, I've seen how these guys do it. I'm not saying I'm better than them, but I think I want to do my own thing.
Pretty much.
And you said, I want to bring a piece of home to Sydney. So you started Ho Jiak. And what does Ho Jiak mean?
Ho Jiak basically translates to good eats. Ho being good, Jiak means eat, so delicious.
Nice.
Good eats in Fujian or Hokkien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how did you start Ho Jiak? What was the first store?
Yeah, so the first store was in Strathfield, and my business partner and I would put everything in. We opened in a small one, 12-seater, team of 5 people.
Another 12-seater. You like your 12-seaters.
Oh, no. So the first one was 12-seaters. You're talking about, so they're actually all, so in Strathfield was Ho Jiak, and then there's Ho Jiak Haymarket, and then there's Ho Jiak Town Hall.
Okay.
Yeah. So after, I guess, a year of finding identity, and then we started cooking, I guess, decent food. The queue started getting pretty long, and it was about an hour and a half wait for our food.
Wow.
Because it's so small. It was really, really small, and that's when everyone just go. You got to open one in the city. You got to go open one in the city. You got to go down and compete and try it. And then at that point of my, I guess, career, you could call it now, I felt like I was ready, and so that's when we actually went hunting and we found the spot in Haymarket, the one.
The one that I went to and waited.
Yeah. And that was a 110-seater, and we go, wow, that's a big jump from 12 seats to 110. And so then, as usual, we, again, put everything in, all in, big project, $2 million, set everything up. And when the moment we opened, it was around early December. We thought we managed to catch the Christmas rush. We're going to be busy. People have been asking us to open. They know us. And we opened the doors, did like 24 covers a day. 24 covers a day, every single day. The rent was 10 grand. I had employees, I had everyone there. We were bleeding so hard. And I go, what went wrong? So the concept as well is when I opened Strathfield, the identity that I found there was I wanted to show the Malaysian street foods. Then when I opened the second one, I wanted to honor my grandma. So she's a big influence of my life. And I wanted to go, you know what, I'm going to showcase grandma's cooking here. I'm going to put grandma's cooking on the menu. And I guess one of the biggest things that people told me at that time was, you're fucking crazy. And I said, why? Who wants to go and pay money at a restaurant to eat your grandma's cooking? Who wants to do that? This is about 7 years back now, right? Who wants to do that? At the time, it was different. And so I said, let's just try. Let's just believe. I still believe I want to honor her. At that time, she was about to move on. She wasn't doing well. And so I said, let's do that. And again, like I said, December, January, February, 24 covers a day at a 110-seat restaurant. 24 covers, lunch and dinner, all right? It was bad. We were crying. And every time we walk out the door, what's going on here? Chinatown's fucking busy. There's so many people. Like, what is happening, right? But and the lowest point of that was that it was so bad. My bank account was completely wiped out. My business partner was completely wiped out. I had to borrow money from my friends. I had to borrow money from my dad. And I think that was probably one of the lowest points in my life. Things started to change, but we hung out. We just kept believing, and we just kept believing that what we were doing was different, and that the staff was probably... we just wanted to hang out and see what happens.
How did you sustain that? You were lucky enough that you had, a couple hands to lean on for some money.
So we had...
But money isn't everything.
We had the first restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first restaurant, whatever money we were making from there went straight in there to pay off the bills. So we were bleeding, and we had some reserve in the bank, but the moment that was wiped out, we had to go borrow. Borrow. And I guess in a way, in a turn of things, around March or April, that's when Broadsheet wrote an article about us. And then from then on, that was in the span of March, April, Broadsheet, and then it was the Good Food Guide.
Did you reach out to Broadsheet?
No, they came. And then by October, we actually won the best restaurant of the year in Time Out. And so it literally went from 24 covers in January, February to full house or almost full house, 80% capacity in March, April. And then for another 5 months, the moment we got best restaurant in Sydney, just went boom, almost instantly, double. And that's when we actually realized that what we were actually doing, what we believed in, what we were doing, like we believed in it, and it actually pulled off. But of course, like what you said, it's not just about doing it there, like having a plan and everything. It's about executing it. It's about like facing all of that the stress and the everything every day, challenging. Like
what's one technique that you do still now to combat those challenges?
Okay, so I think for me, a lot of the things that I do is I believe in people, right? And I invest in people. And the way I build my team or build my startup is I treat them, I know it's going to sound cliche, I treat them like family. And I believe that those who actually work with me or I work with, they're my kids. And I have a lot of kids. Like I'm always the father figure there. And when we work, I'm not just telling them how to cook something. I'm trying to, I teach them how to I guess, win or move ahead in life. And coming to work with me every day and stuff like that, it's not just about cooking. Like we don't just, that's not the focus. It's always about how you're going to improve, And one of the things that I always tell them is, even making a decision, you make the right one, good, learn from it. You make a bad one, you make the wrong one, good, learn from it. All I need you to do is improve little bit by little bit every day. If you can just keep improving a bit by a bit, over the time will tell. Over the years, time will tell that you've improved, and that's how you go higher and better and better and better. And so that's one of the things, like, for all these challenges.
And what keeps that, that strong bond in your team? Because I know, especially now, people post-pandemic, they're struggling to find that synergy in their team.
Yep.
For you to be able to scale to the scale that you've got, it's around the people that you have around you. But in such a competitive market, how do you keep them at home?
So it's what I do every day. So even when the pandemic came, and us being an Asian restaurant and stuff like that, a lot of them were skilled visa workers, they were immigrants and stuff like that. When the pandemic came, the government literally said, if you can't afford, go back to your country for the first few weeks. And 70% of them were not supported by government. What I did was, if you wanted to stay, I'll pay you. Just tell me how much rent you need a week, and that's how much shift I'm going to give you, even though there was no work to do. And if you actually, and I told them, do not go hungry, do not starve. This was all during the pandemic. I said, since we're all open for takeaway anyway, Ho Jiak will always have a staff meal for you. If you ever need food, just come and eat. And so what I did back then was to fight for them, was to keep a roof over their head. Now, when it came after the pandemic, you know what I mean? So they were all still here.
They would have just been so appreciative.
Appreciative, yes, but more so they understand, I guess, the real
hardship
value of family. Like, you know what I mean? Family does this for you. And when you come into my family, there will always be a home that we will always look after each other. And so I guess to answer your question, what do I do is it's just something that I do every day. It's just me as a person that if you ever get to work with me, and you will see it, it's just there.
It's just natural. It's your second nature.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess that's where, goes back to your strong family ties, your grandmother's influence of a full table, your passion and drive to honor her. Not only that, but, you're a seasoned hospitality expert. You've expanded multiple venues, brought multiple chains, and you know how important people is in your business to grow. And during their darkest times, you've always said, hey, put money aside. There's a roof over your head and there's something for you to eat. And that's in simple terms, that's what you've done. And that's amazing. So, a lot of people get fixated on public relations and PR, right? On PR, like broadsheet, timeout, good food guide. And a lot of outsiders that are viewing you would think you went and called them and told them to come in, right? But you said openly and honestly that you didn't. What do you think drew them in when there was 24 people coming and eat at your place? What drew them into Ho Jiak in Haymarket to write an article about you?
So again, this one, I think it would have to be the product itself. if it's a good product, eventually they will come. It's just how long for me, in my case, how long could I hang out for? Like how long could I stay there until they actually came? And of course, there are many times where they come and they would choose to not write about it if it's not good. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, luckily enough for me, it's that. But again, at the same time, as I grow, there are many times where they would ask if you wanted to like share recipes and all kind of things. And then again, like I said, for me, yes, sure.
Take
my
it.
recipes, take it. Like, but that's your top seller. Take it. Because I know that recipes are one thing, running a whole restaurant is a whole different thing. And you can have the best recipes in the world, but if you can't run a restaurant, what use is the recipe? So I guess, again, for me, the main point why I say that is just, I guess, generosity, being generous. Like, just, upfront, just like, take it. I always believe and I always prefer to give than to take. So I give. And who knows, maybe that's my luck, my karma, that they came and things turned,
That's beautiful. And post Haymarket and the amazing community that you built, what grew from there?
Yep. So Haymarket was, like you said, the queue was there. My grandmother was being honored. It was big. We were doing a lot of community events. We were raising money for a lot of different things. Big support. That's when I guess it came to a point of my career where I goes, if we're that busy and like our food's that good, how come? Why aren't we one of the best restaurants in Australia? Why do I not even have a hat and stuff like that? So that's when I started dreaming about another restaurant where I could maybe turn it like challenge myself as a chef and actually come up with a cuisine. Because at that point I was thinking maybe
Self-proclaimed chef.
Self-proclaimed chef.
But you own it. You earned it.
Not yet. I was on my way, to be honest. I was on my way. So again, I was on my way because the stuff in Strathfield, it was pretty much the food that you can find in the streets of Malaysia. I just recreated it, tweaked it, and made it a better version. The stuff in Haymarket was my grandmother's cooking, which obviously she cooked it for me. I tweaked it and made it,
Your version
sellable.
of better.
Was sellable.
Sellable. Localized.
So then one day, the town hall, which is used to be the Cuban place. I don't know if you remember the Cuban place. So they're an institution to like salsa dancing, all that kind of stuff. They decided to close down after I think almost 20 years. And I used to go there during uni days for drinks and tequila and cigar and all kind of things. And I don't know how, but the agent somehow managed to get our number and goes like, do you want to come and check it out? And so we went and checked it out. Nice, good venue, dead smack in the CBD. And I went, maybe this is the place. And that's when I started dreaming, all right, we have a bar, we have this, we have that. Maybe this thing that I'm chasing so much right now, maybe I'll get it. And so then we went in, right? We went in, we put everything in again.
I can feel the pain, man.
From 110 to 180 seats, $4 million project, all in. Started doing, I finally thought, okay, I'm going to do a menu that I created dishes that I created. I was, as we did our R&D and all that kind of things, very good. But like all big projects, as we were meant to open in November, it got delayed, and we could finally open our doors in April on a Friday. Or was it a March? Basically, we opened the doors on Friday. On Saturday, the government announced we're going to lockdown on Monday.
That was March. What a disgusting period.
Yeah. So I opened Ho Jiak Town Hall 2 days before our first ever lockdown in New South Wales.
Well.
Yeah. When we opened on Friday, long queue, like nice. I was like, finally, my luck, it's changed. I had so much struggle with the first one. I was crying with the second one. And I thought third one, finally with the backing and the support that we had, something out of our control came. And you know how it went for all of us.
You still feel it though, get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So
that particular restaurant was the hardest because that was when we had 3 restaurants, we had a whole bunch of employees. Again, like I told you that we had to keep. But prior to that, I actually heard about COVID in December, March, and like we were talking about it like what if this was like a Spanish flu, like blah blah? How long would it take? It then we go like it'll take about 2 years or so, and then we started going to the banks. We started borrowing a little bit of money to build up the reserves so that we could, fight and combat all of this. But yeah, town hall was extremely expensive for us to open 2 days before the first lockdown. We couldn't get any of the help because we couldn't show that there was a drop in revenue from the past year.
Yeah, you had to be minimum 12 months trading.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So job keeper, all that kind of stuff.
Didn't
Zero. And I had to then keep my stuff by forking it out through my own pocket, And yeah, so we did that. We rode the whole roller coaster of the COVID, But as we came out, in the second year, the first year, we pretty much everything that I wanted at town hall, despite all of that, came through. So we got a hat. We got into the Gourmet Traveler top 80 restaurants. We were in the delicious top 100 restaurants as well. And that particular year, I was actually nominated as Chef of the Year for Good Food.
Wow.
And to me, I thought to myself, I'm not a chef. Like, I'm not a trained chef. But then when I actually look at it, like the guys who get nominated we don't get so much nominated because of like how well we cook. It's about how much we impact the industry, like how much things we did. And to be honest, during the pandemic, that was when
you went to work.
I went to work. I really went to work, and everything that I did, I shared on Instagram. Everything, any advice or whatever, I just put it out there. And people, restaurants, 3-headed, 2-headed restaurants, and everyone, they were coming to me. They were asking me for advice. I say, sure, this is what you should do. This is what we're gonna do, etc., etc., etc. And we supported here and all that kind of things. And I think that was the period where I guess I became like this old man who lost a lot of hair, and it was the
your words of wisdom
from the lowest point of my life, borrowing money, to the hardest point of my life, trying to keep all my employees, 3 restaurants, stay afloat, and all the kind of things. And I guess we survived.
Yeah, we survived, and you have an amazing legacy that you can truly say that you're going to be leaving behind, and you haven't even started yet, in my opinion. You're just getting started. Tell me, on the notion of the hat, and I know that was a personal challenge for you, right? What's the secret in your eyes to dominating and gaining a hat?
Ooh.
There are people out there right now that are listening that have the same hunger, drive, and perception as you. They know that they can do it. They know that this dish is, you said something before where you said, I took Malaysian street food and I made it better. That's a man with conviction, and that's someone that truly believes in his product. Or you took your grandma's dish and you made it sellable. Like, those words don't come easy. And when you say that sort of stuff, someone like me would be reserved and say, no, you localized it. You really can't make it better, but you believe that you made it better and you've shown that impact. So people have that same conviction on their product. Mm-hmm. How would you advise them to chase that hat?
All right. Best advice I can give is it all starts within. It all starts within. It's the people that help you work there, who help the business. If they're happy, everything's going to project out as happy. That's number 1. Number 2, you take care of them, they'll take care of you, they'll take care of your business. And number 3, of course, it's a cliche, every customer is a VIP. You don't break it down to people who spend high, you don't break it down to people who spend low. Whoever walks in is a VIP. So I actually wrote this in my book. It's I take the restaurant business or whenever I jump into a kitchen as the opening night thing in a theater, right? Where
like the premiere, the grand opening.
Not just the premiere, like just showtime. It's showtime.
Okay, it's showtime.
Showtime,
yeah.
Right? So all these actors and actresses, they they practice and they rehearse 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 thousands of times, and they do a show in Sydney. I'm sorry, they do thousands of shows in Sydney. They do thousands of shows in Melbourne. But when it comes to, let's say, another sport, and it's the 100,000th time doing the same thing, reading the same lines, but for the audience, it's actually their first time. So that's the same thing as when I go into cook. I may have cooked this dish 100,000 times, but the person who's eating it is probably their first time, and I'm going to give them the best show. And that's how I see, or that's how I feel when I cook, and I make sure that all of my chefs feels the same way too. And so it comes back to point number 3. Every customer that comes in is a VIP. It's their first time. Give them a good show.
Wow. That's amazing. And if there's one piece of advice you'd give to that aspiring entrepreneur, restaurateur, cafe operator, right? I want you to look down the barrel of the camera here and give them that one piece of advice before they go on their journey.
To open a restaurant or cafe?
Yeah, to open a business.
Dream big, work hard, and remember, business always comes first.
Thank you so much. I truly admire your devotion to the industry, the impact that you've done, and just in this short time that I've gotten to know you, I feel like, I've known you for a lifetime now. And it's that's just, I can really see how much you care about your people and your business. What's on the cards for you next?
So we're opening in Melbourne in December, and we're opening the fish market next year as well.
In Sydney?
In Sydney, yeah.
Okay,
the new
beautiful.
fish market, yeah.
What are you opening there?
It's going to be a Malaysian grill house. So I probably, when I wanted to go in, I said I wanted to sell like steak and chicken, like Malaysian style, Western kind of style food over there. So it's like a surf and turf. And they go, no, it's a fish market. And I said, can you imagine how many people who comes to the fish market, who gets dragged to the fish market, but doesn't eat anything because they're either allergic or they just don't like seafood. Now, can you imagine how many people who doesn't even come to the fish market just because they're allergic or they don't like seafood? Why won't you let me sell meat here? And after going left and right, they finally go, okay, let's do it. And so it's going to be like a surf and turf menu at the fish market.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to see that, and I hope I
I have a question for you right now.
Yes, go for it.
When are you coming to Ho Jiak next?
Well, I'm waiting for whenever you want. The table is ready.
I'll make sure the light isn't there.
That's it. No, I honestly, you know what? I'm going to round up a table. Is it good in a group environment?
So every venue is different.
Okay.
Come to
Is Strathfield
Town Hall for a big group.
Yeah.
Strathfield is just small. It's like a takeaway kind of concept right now because we had to redo it. And Haymarket is more of like home cooked food. It's in a way no frills and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But come to Town Hall if you want to have fun.
Have fun, elevated experience at Town Hall.
Elevated experience and everything.
But I want to feel the real, like the guts.
You get it at Town Hall too.
You get it at Town Hall?
You get it at Town Hall too.
Cool.
Sure.
All right, done. Ben, table, Town Hall. Definitely got to book it in. All right, man. Thank you so much again.
Thank you
I
so
really
much for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you.